Dr. Satish Amarnath, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you loud and clear. Sir, you are able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Okay, perfect.
Right.
Bhagavan, sir. Okay, so we'll start. We are a little late today, but that's okay. We'll start now. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining in today for this wonderful learning journey that I conduct every Saturday at 2 p.m. Today with us, I'm really privileged, and it's a proud moment for me to have host Dr. Satish Amarnath and Dr. Bhagavan, sir, who has been the Registrar of Karnataka State Pharmacy Council. And Bhagavan, sir, over to you. I'll request you to please introduce Dr. Satish Amarnath, and then we'll proceed ahead with the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manoj, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. It's one of the best of the privileges I have today to introduce Dr. Satish Amarnath, who was a typical amazing personality that I have ever seen. First, I got to know him directly when I joined the Manipal Cure and Care, where he was the medical director. Surprised. Unfortunately, he is blind, but he has a vision. He could see, he could understand, he could realize much more than what we people with the two eyes in good condition could realize or perceive. A wonderful, exceptional personality. He is a great asset to mankind, I can tell you, particularly in the medical field. Dr. Satish Kumar Amarnath is a BSc graduate from St. Joseph College, Bangalore, and he got his diploma in industrial microbiology from Central College, Bangalore, both of which he completed in 1977. He then went to do his MBBS from Karnataka Medical College, Hubli, and did his MD microbiology from the same institute and passed out in 1986. He then served as a teacher in microbiology from 86 to 96 in JIPMER, Pondicherry, presented as associate professor in 1996 to join Manipal Hospital as a consultant microbiologist. He then took on the responsibility of chairing the Hospital Infection Control Coordinator of Distance Education in Allied Medical Sciences, was the QMR for pushing quality by getting the hospital ISO 9001-2000 and the NABL certification for the hospital laboratory. He got the Golden Peacock for quality for the hospital. He then moved as a medical director. He then moved as a medical director of Manipal Cure and Care, a preventive care, wellness and beauty concept clinics across the country, and was instrumental to get the Australian Council of Healthcare Standards accreditation, and was instrumental to get the Golden Peacock Innovative Service Award and the IRF Retail Award. That's a wonderful profile. Put in a brief way, but there is much more. One has to elaborate experiences in this association, and there is no end for it. His profile and its details are available on the Google. And now I will hand over back to Manoj to proceed with the program.
Thank you so much, sir, for wonderfully explaining about Dr. Satish Amarnath. Dr. Satish Amarnath needs no introduction. I think most of the information about him is available on Google, Wikipedia, and many other websites. Thank you so much, Dr. Satish, and thank you so much, Bhagavan sir, for being with me today and in this learning journey. I don't have any words to express thanks to both of you and everyone who's joined today watching us live. I now present your slides, Dr. Satish, and you may please proceed with the session. Thank you so much. We are on the first slide, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bhagavan, sir. It has been a privilege working with you. And of course, thank you, Manoj, for giving me this opportunity to be amongst the pharmacologists who are definitely in the cutting edge of today's world, where therapeutics are being decided for COVID. And I'm sure it is this group which is very, very important. With this, I would say my thoughts go back more than about 45 years when I first joined medicine and then subsequently passed and came to pharmacology. I thank my teachers of Karnataka Medical College, Hubli at that time, and my colleagues at JIPMER, Pondicherry in pharmacology, who really made me understand how important the specialty of pharmacology is, and the amount of wealth of knowledge that they shared with me is humongous, which has helped me hugely. I thank each one of them, and what I am today is because they had shaped me in whichever way they could. With this small thanks, I would like to go on to my slides. We are going to talk about career opportunities in the pharmaceutical science, especially with special reference to the wellness sphere. Can I move on to the next slide, please?
Yes, sir.
Looking at what I have done in the previous few years, if you see, I was always very focused on being very patient-centric. In fact, even in as a PG student in KMC Hubli, I used to work on holidays. I used to work on Sundays too. You won't believe this. You might be thinking, what is this guy doing? The thing, my basic idea was very clear. A patient comes to us for help, and I cannot tell my laboratory is not working on a holiday, not working on a Sunday, because infections, and you will rightly say, care for the patient does not look at holidays, does not look at Sundays. When I joined JIPMER, because Sundays was a holiday, I started processing of specimens of blood culture on Sunday, because you understand how critical that specimen is. If you could give a report earlier, we could perhaps save a life. I have done those small things, and then subsequently I found that everybody who was in the department told, why should you be only doing it? Let us help, and it started as a rotation. When I joined Manipal in 1996, 25 and odd years ago, again I found the laboratory working 9 to 5. Sundays it was closed. I changed that to a 24/7 operation. I basically believe that a critical service like microbiology cannot operate like that. And I was supported by my staff, and that's how we started. I brought in automation. You might be thinking that, oh my God, why and for what automation is required? We started with blood culture. You won't believe this. A blood culture would take about a minimum of 48 to 72 hours. With the automation that I bought in, I could bring it down to as less as 18 hours to 24 hours. I had a report with sensitivity going back to the patient. You can imagine how many lives it would have saved. That was the importance of this particular thing. Another very important thing that we did was, I had a patient from one of the largest hospitals of Bangalore being taken, wheeled out on a umbo bag with oxygen. They told that, his relative called me. I happen to know his relative, her relative actually. He called me and told, this is happening. They've asked me to take her home because they can't do anything. I told, can you give me a chance? Got her to Manipal. We used her as one of the first few cases on the automated system. 18 hours, I had a positive blood culture. 24 hours immediately at the end of 24 hours, I'd given the sensitivity. In the meantime, thanks to my pharmacy colleagues, we had got meropenem. We had just started using meropenem at that time. And you won't believe that girl sat up in the ICU on the third day. She then went on, you won't believe this, to the ward on the fifth day and out of the hospital on the seventh day. Sometime later, a month or so later, she comes back and tells me, thank you, doctor, I have a mother for my child. She had just delivered a baby. It was puerperal sepsis that we had lost the infection. And this was a very satisfying experience. The reason I'm bringing it up is, I had changed a blood culture system from 200 rupees to 400 rupees in 1996. You can imagine, it was doubling the cost of blood culture. But I always believe that saving a life, I'm not. Is there a problem?
No, sir. You are audible, sir. You are perfectly fine.
Yeah. So that was something that was really satisfying. In addition to this, I brought in automation to a lot of other spheres, but since this is not a microbiology, this thing, I would like to go on. I was made the coordinator of distance education. I got a lot of students also to think like me. I was the chairman of Hospital Infection Control, where we brought in protocols. You won't believe it. We brought in protocols to benchmark the infection rates of catheter-associated urinary tract infection, pulmonary infections, bloodstream infections, and so on and so forth, which we benchmarked to international standards. We brought in about more than 90 protocols to do this, and to really help me do that, I can always tell that I did it. I can very clearly tell that it was not me, it was the staff of the hospital which did it. And I'm proud of them that today their infection rates are benchmarked to the best in the world. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the next slide.
Now, after I did all this, again, I think the hospital decided, okay, this fellow has done enough in microbiology, enough in distance education, enough in hospital control, and also quality, where we got the various accreditations and certifications. They told, let us move him to a different challenge. And this is something that all of you will be interested in. I was put into a preventive health, wellness, and a beauty concept clinics, which is called Manipal Cure and Care. That's what we're going to talk about today. Please understand here, what did I do? I brought in a medicine specialist, a gynecologist, and a pediatrician. Why? Because we were thinking of mother, father, and child. Very, very important. Now you understand the age group that we currently have. They are nearly about 50% of the Indian population is less than 30. and another chunk is between 30 to say 60, and a lot of senior citizens are living longer today. Very important. So we brought in preventive health. We could do health checks within 4 hours, benchmark to standards. We brought in the first time a concept of beauty concept clinics. We had dermatology and dental, where you could take care of your skin and of course make you smile. And more importantly, for the first time, we started introducing wellness. You might ask me, what is so special about wellness? Let me tell you this. Many of us do not even know that we have a problem. We don't know that we have not only a health issue, but it's a health issue that can actually trigger an event which should even cost us our life. After this, I will park it here and I'll move on to the other thing that I did was occupational health. You know, today's corporate world, youngsters today get picked up from college and are moving into the corporate world. So I was asked to deploy occupational health clinics across the country again, and we were successful. And let me assure you also, the return on investment that we put in for wellness, where we identified risk factors and gave the return back of the money that the corporate invested, was huge. But I would like to also point out, there are HR managers who think otherwise. Many of them ask us to produce a laminator. The reason I chose a laminator is no longer under production. You can only resuscitate it from a junkyard and put it in. I refuse to work with such HR people. I work with people who will think that investing in wellness is an investment and you get reaps of money in the form of a health of the employee who understands and remains loyal to you. That is what I worked on, and that's what I believe. I've created custom built Ferrari as well as I've created Maruti 800s also. But laboratories, sir, I will not agree to deploy. Now, let us look at diseases of the future. I'm sure all of you are going to be smiling when you're seeing this slide. Oh my God, are we going to talk about all this? We are going to talk about a sedentary lifestyle. We eat not properly. More importantly, exercise. What is that? And of course, we have certain things that we eat and enjoy, like alcohol. Smoking is another area that we need to see. We put on body weight, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is creating a problem. In addition to this, it is very, very clear that these are the things that we have to face in the future. We have unique possibilities for this. You won't believe this, but we are current this. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the next slide. Unique possibility.
Okay, you look at the unique possibilities. We need to understand that we are in a particular sphere of this thing where we need to educate the person who's coming into a wellness center and tell that, hey, there is a chance that if you neglect this particular thing, you might not become not only ill, but it could be a threat to your life. This is where I think the pharmacy science has to really put that benchmark and tell that, yes, we will do this. Yes, we can do this. Yes, we will identify, and we have to rededicate and retool ourselves to make sure that we are able to move beyond this. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the opportunity slide.
Yeah, it is time for the pharmacy education sphere. I'm sure in this audience, there's a lot of educationists, professors, associated professors and assistant professors, and of course, a swathe of students. We have to understand that we have to meet this challenge. As you will understand that many of our population today is going the wrong way. It is not because they want to, it is the situation that they currently that's been put. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the next slide.
Okay, again, I'm just refocusing here on this thing. We do not really eat properly. I'm sure all of us love ready-made food. Ready-made food is very, very healthy, as you can rightfully see. We are in the sense that it makes us put on weight, and once you put on weight, you know what happens. Okay, and exercise is something that we don't do. Move on to the next slide, please.
Yes, sir. We are on the next one. Lifestyles.
Now, again, please understand, you might be telling that why is this doctor talking about lifestyle diseases? Is it possible for us to change the way a person thinks? Because please understand, the target that we are trying to do now is not a patient. A patient is very clear. He comes to you with a problem. You treat that problem. He's happy to take that treatment because he feels that he's going to be protected and taken care of. Here we have a well person who's just like you and me. And in fact, I would say he's healthy person. His weight is on the wrong side of the BMI. And as we go along, you'll realize that this person can have hidden disorders which could manifest later on. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. Hospital pharmacies. We are on that.
Please look at how hospital pharmacies work today. In fact, the hospital pharmacy is very important as far as I am concerned, because whatever microbial fight that I have done is because of my pharmacy people who have helped me understand the various nuances of how to fight bugs. In fact, when I implemented antibiotic policy across the hospital in certain very clear, clean surgery areas like cardiac surgery, everybody thought I would lose. But you won't believe it. I managed with amoxicillin, ciprofloxacin, and cefuroxime. And you can imagine the savings that we did as far as the package was concerned. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on OPD clinic slide.
Now look at the same. I think the OPD clinics and the pharmacies that are there in these facilities are extremely close to the community. Now, this is what I feel is very important for you to understand, that you are the people, along with a lot of other healthcare professionals, who are uniquely placed to deliver wellness care. In addition, please remember our population of nearly 1.4 billion, the amount of healthcare workers that we require are so meager that, are so huge that currently what we have is meager. And it is very, very important for us to ramp up every healthcare professional, understand and put our care delivery models in place so that we can take care. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the lifestyle disease slide.
Can you imagine what is happening? I have pulled out this data from the United States. Body mass index are overweight and perhaps hyperlipidemias are a major problem for us. If you look at the stats that are there in the West, it is a one-third principle that I keep talking about. 1/3 of the US population have BMI less than 25. That means they are in the proper BMI strategy. Another 1/3 are overweight, and another 1/3 of the population is obese. So you can imagine 66% of the population are at high risk. And also, if you look at their exercise activity, similar. 1/3 exercises regularly, their BMI is under control. 1/3 occasionally exercise, and another 1/3 never exercise. And you know what happens to the body weight. And when the body weight goes there, that is where we have a problem. In India, are we better? In fact, if you look at the corporate world, only about 20% of the people have a BMI of less than 23. Please understand, Indian standards are different from the US standards. US standards are 25, 18.5 to 25. Indian is 18.5 to 23. So you can imagine a lot of people who are sitting, overworking 11 to 12 hours, not moving across, not hydrating themselves, are having problems. And we have not only obesity, we have hyperlipidemias also. Moving on to the next slide.
So we are on the next one.
Yeah. Now, once you have increased body weight and also hyperlipidemia, let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, we have other lifestyle problems. Diabetes is one, very important. You won't believe it, a few days back, a newspaper report came telling that nearly in Gujarat, the diabetic population has doubled in 4 years. That is alarming, ladies and gentlemen. If that occurs, you can imagine the impact it does on the pharmacology sphere. We need to produce more drugs. Compliance is a major challenge. And more importantly, we have to take care of people who will have, in addition to this, other disorders like blood pressure. You can have a lot of other issues. Blood pressure is one of them. And of course, you can also have thyroid problems. You can have other endocrine problems. You will have joint and other spine issues. This is the problem that you are going to face with the population. And this is a huge risk. Moving on, next slide.
Yes, sir, we are on the next slide.
Now we will look at this thing. Look at the predictions. I put the prediction for men. I put the prediction for women and other disorders. It is very much there. Can I move on to the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the next one.
I want to bring in the issue of cancers. Are you believing that when the data that we looked at culled from the international peer-reviewed journals, you find gastrointestinal cancers in men, prostatic cancers in men, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and so on, including testosterone problems in men leading on to erectile dysfunction. Women, in addition to ovarian and uterine cancers, we had the full length of gastrointestinal cancers like rectal as well as gallbladder and liver, and we had PCOD or PCOS as it is called today. Looking at the other things, respiratory problems, because they are not able to take in enough of oxygen, and other issues also cropped up. This is the problem, ladies and gentlemen, that India is going to face. Let me assure you, infectious diseases definitely there. But as we go along, move along, you'll find that non-communicable diseases, as we call, is going to be a major factor which will, overcome our population. Next slide, please.
Yes, sir. We are on the next one. Community participation challenge.
Now, also remember this: tobacco and alcohol, in addition to this thing of non-exercise and other disorders, I can be very clear that these are going to cause a huge amount of mortality for us, because they will add to the lifestyle disorders that we currently face. And in addition, I have not put it on this particular slide. Please remember body image issues, performance issues, because more and more, because of diabetes, hypertension, medications, stress levels build up in the individual. Mental health is a huge problem. I did not put it here, but please remember this. We in Manipal Cure and Care have been able to really make a difference, as well as in the occupational health clinic, that lifestyle disorders lead to mental stress, and this goes into a vicious cycle. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the next one. The future of pharmacy.
Now, diabetes is one thing I would like to take. Let us say you have a case of diabetes. Currently, what is the scenario that we have? A person goes to the hospital, meets the endocrinologist, gets lab investigation done, and gets a set amount of drugs as prescription. A diet consultation is done and a chart is given, and perhaps a person from rehab medicine will tell the exercises. But let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, after the prescription is given, the first thing a diabetic person will tell, no, I'll give a price, everything will be fine. Point number two, exercise. I will start walking, and you'll find that it is done for about a week, back to the original recipe. So data science has to come in. And you can imagine the last mile connectivity is something that we have to change. That is where we have to make the difference of how to connect lifestyle modes of binging on food, not exercising, deterioration of laboratory values, non-compliance to medication, and how do we change the lifestyle habits of an individual population. Next slide, please.
Yes, sir. Role of pharmacy and the pharmacists.
Please understand, life science today is undergoing a huge amount of change. You won't believe this. When we introduced Manipal Cure and Care, many people thought, will these people ever make a dent on the wellness sphere? When we introduced it across the board, many people initially were reluctant. We brought in clinical psychologists, we brought in dietitians, we brought in pharmacology products which are sold in the pharmacy, where we made sure it was a combination of the right choices of vitamin and nutritional supplements, medications, monitoring. In fact, we had, even at that time, it was about nearly 12 years ago, we had created an electronic medical record which could monitor a person's laboratory data, monitor a person's weight, put it out on a graphic scale and show it to the individual. Hey, if you do not change your lifestyle, you lead into problems. We have saved a lot of lives because we had done this, and we prevented heart attacks, we prevented a lot of mortality and morbidity because of diabetes. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. Role of pharmacists, role of pharmacy and the pharmacists. We are on that slide.
Okay. Here, I would like to bring in a lot of technology has to be brought in to see that we today are bringing in analytics to understand how exactly medications work in a community. Today, we do not have that data. How we can change a person's compliance to medication? How do we monitor and see that the health of the individual is taken? For this, we need to bring in artificial intelligence. We need data analytics. In fact, in Manipal Cure and Care, you won't believe, we had made electronic medical records, which was portable from Ahmedabad. You could shift it to Pune, you could shift it to Mumbai, you could shift it to Bangalore seamlessly. Of course, I would have been happy if we could have put it into a cloud. At that time, we did not have the cloud. And I would like to point out here to the people here, please be very careful where you store this data. You cannot store it in foreign websites and foreign data centers because it's against the Indian law. And I'm also very clear, I would not like to have my medical data being given to another foreign nation to do analysis and then plan interventions. And you will agree with me, this data that we are going to generate in the future about diabetes, about hypertension, about hypothyroidism, other endocrine disorders, cardiac problems, blood pressure is going to be huge, and it can be monetized, and it can benefit a lot of pharmaceutical companies, a lot of healthcare institutions, and most importantly, the patient itself. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the next slide. Innovation in pharmacy.
Now, also remember, as I rightfully told, disruption is something that we should be worried about. You can imagine robotics is something that is coming in a big way in healthcare. You will always tell me that robotics in healthcare, I'm sure you will agree with me that a decade ago, if I had told you that surgery can be done with robots, you would have laughed at me. Today, government institutions are introducing robotics, and more importantly, a lot of things are done by planning, analyzing data, predicting data, how things are going, and more importantly, integrating them with machines so that the mundane activity is taken care of, and more importantly, that we are able to make that difference as far as the individual is concerned. We will be able to make health a parameter which is very important. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We have future pharmacies as the next slide.
Imagine the future pharmacy that we have. And mind you, this is possible as of now. I have been very clear. There are two things that you might be worried about. Is it legal for us to do this? Telemedicine approach today is legal, isn't it? The government itself has crossed more than 200,000 consultations on the virtual mode. Why is it important for lifestyle disorders? When you look at a diabetic person, he does not want to go and spend a lot of time in the hospital waiting in queue to see a doctor. Number two, the number of visits that he has to do to keep his data checked, his blood sugar checked, his blood pressure checked is going to be very disruptive as far as he is concerned. If we can do it in the neighborhood pharmacies, connected by internet to the service provider, institution, and the doctor, imagine what change we can do. For this to happen, I think we have to change ourselves. We have to accept that today there is a dearth of healthcare professionals, trained healthcare professionals, and it also means that if I can train all the healthcare professionals, take it to the community, create a kiosk where a person can come in and put their hand in, take their blood pressure, get a small needle prick, get their blood sugar, and perhaps collect specimens and transport it back into the laboratory. Imagine, once that is done, imagine if you could deliver drugs by using Elon Musk's driverless cars or perhaps drones. Now, you might think that, is it possible? In India, we have done it, ladies and gentlemen. Northeast, drone deliveries of drugs have occurred. Drone deliveries of vaccine has occurred. This is the way the future is going to be. Are you guys ready to face that challenge? Are you guys ready to change the way we practice? Are you guys prepared to be, what do you call, future ready and able to deliver? Next one. Next slide, please.
Technology-driven disruption. We are on that.
Okay. You can always remember this. Technology is something that we are imbibing immensely. I'm sure you'll all agree with me. You're seeing children who never used what do you call smartphones. Of course, there are a lot of children in certain strata of society use smartphones too much. In fact, they are so smart, they'll put on the class on their screen and keep playing on the other side with the video. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about amalgamation of technology where we can bring in technology to change certain healthcare habits. Imagine a SMS going out or a WhatsApp message going out to the individual telling that, hey, today I think is the day you need to check your blood pressure. Today is the day you need to check your blood sugar or HbA1c. That means every single student of pharmaceutical science has to understand that this is the way we are going, and also be very clear. Today, we are changing. Today, the way drug discoveries are occurring using artificial intelligence, large data analytics, as well as in what you call computer analysis of various pathways and interventions, it is going to be mind-blowing, ladies and gentlemen. Unless and until we change the way we practice medicine, we would not be able to deliver the thing as required. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. Many pharmacies operate on legacy business.
Yes. Many pharmacies operate on legacy business. They're more bothered about inventory, they're more bothered about what is available, and they're more bothered about how we can see that the expiry dates are matched. Ladies and gentlemen, technology is changing. More importantly, a lot of technology is coming in, which is internet enabled, cloud enabled, as well as it is bringing in people closer, and the people themselves are adopting these technologies. So in that case, I think we have to manage to move forward. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We're on the next one, sir.
You can imagine what is happening in the supply chain. The whole supply chain is getting disrupted because of technological innovations that are coming in. Technology assimilation of various companies are coming in. Analysis of the way we work, analysis and discovery of new medications and their efficacy is occurring. If we do not change at this point of time, let me assure you, we will be left behind. It's time for us to plan and bring in new skill sets. It is not going to be difficult. Let me give you an example. Let us say you're managing a diabetic patient. All we need to know is if this level of HbA1c is there, I need to ensure that he goes to the endocrinologist. If the HbA1c is between this to this range, it is good control. All I need to do is reinforce the medication, reinforce the diet and eating habit, change to full grain diets, change to other things that he can assimilate, and more importantly, encourage the person to exercise. That means a pharmacy person who's running a neighborhood pharmacy has to be a psychologist, counsel the person very clearly, and this skill sets has to be built in by our medical colleges and medical professionals and ensure that we empower everybody to do this. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the next slide. Treatment should no longer be focused.
Again, look at what is happening. Gene editing today is coming in. That means we have to understand what is happening. You are very clear. Today we are able to fashion the treatment strategy based on this thing. I have gene editable bacteria which can make a difference for a diabetic patient. These were technologies and therapeutic modalities which were unthought of. Is this something that I'm just talking out of the hat? No. These technologies today are available. They are being tried out. Go to Vanderbilt University website. Look at the opportunities that are there for you. Go to Deloitte website and you'll find that all these are listed. Imagine a scenario. You have a kiosk where not only you are doing the initial testing, you will be able to look at mirrors, you'll be able to look at the inner throat and so on and so forth, and be able to diagnose additional things that can be treated in the community basis. This is what, ladies and gentlemen, is going to happen. And we have to be prepared and we have to agree to change. Moving on to the next slide.
Yes, sir. We are on the next slide. Retail pharmacies could become consolidated.
Yes. I had mentioned this, I think, a little earlier, that today retail pharmacies have to change. The way we practice has to change. We have to look at, the population that we serve. They want to get cured even before they come into a hospital. They do Google research and tell, why are you not giving me this medication? Why are you asking me to take this? All that we need to prepare. And imagine the whole scenario is going to be pushed by the patient, and we healthcare workers have to be prepared to change to meet that challenge. No wonder. They are also used to Excel sheets. They are so used to getting things self-gratification so fast on Google that they expect even a human being, a medical professional like you and me, to change and give them succor even before they come to us and ask for help. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. Automation and AI algorithms were on that.
Again, please remember, this is something that I think you're going to be a little worried. Are you going to ask pharmaceutical science people to be able to diagnose, be the healthcare provider? Yes, to a certain extent. You will be helped by people who can deliver care.
Dr. Satish, we are not able to hear you. Dr. Satish.
When you put it on algorithm of a computer, you'll find that it does repetitive work without a problem. In fact, you give it 1,000 tasks of the same thing, same button to be pressed, it will do it without a problem. You give it to a human being, we get distracted. So that is the advantage of automation and large-scale data analytics and delivery of healthcare. This again, we have to perceive, and who's going to drive it? You might think that, oh my God, some computer professional is going to do it. No, let me assure you, it will be a medical professional like you and me who will tell the computer professional that this is the way things are done and this is the way things should be done. So moving on to the next slide.
Yes, sir. We are on the next slide. Well, many of these changes seem inevitable.
Now, again, you'll be worried. All these technologies are available. Oh my God, will the consumer take it up? The ultimate aim of any technological innovation that we do, we should be very clear. When we innovate, one is we ourselves should be comfortable that this technology is going to enhance the service of healthcare delivery to that particular person, and this is the way it's going to do it. Number two, is the person whom you are driving the technology at is going to take it. Let me assure you this. There are people who are fast movers. They will embrace technology and try out. There will be people who will lag. But still, after some time, they look at the advantage and they will come and take the technology. There will still be a group of people who still believe in the old. I still want the doctor to place his hand on my head and tell I'm fine. That will be there. It will be a hybrid model as we go along. We have to remember this and play along with this. But I'm sure you will agree with me. Innovation and technology-driven practice is going to be there. It's a disruption which is going to drive the healthcare sphere across the board. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on the future consumer slide.
Again, please remember, when you look at the technology innovations and the deliverables that we have, you will find that we have to look at networking with a lot of people. I mean, networking means not picking up the phone or going and meeting a person. We are going to use technological tools which are going to be automated. You are going to be a consumer of information that is already there. That information is going to be available from the healthcare chain. Let me give you an example. Imagine a ASHA worker or an ANM working in a village. If you very clearly tell the person, these are the number of people that you'll take care of, please keep on with your smartphone adding details as you go along. This is the weight, this is the blood sugar, this is the blood pressure, and this is the body weight. Imagine the wealth of data that person is going to create. Based on diagnostic algorithms, we will tell this person needs extra tests. Next, after the results of the extra test comes, now we are bringing in a laboratory person. You will find the next step would be a pharmaceutical person, again using diagnostic algorithms, telling that because this value is this much, this test result is this much, this body weight is this much, this person needs this medication. Imagine down the line, ladies and gentlemen, you sitting with the huge amount of data and telling that in India, because of ethnic groups and genetic pooling, this drug works better in this population to control diabetes, and this does not work. Look at the change that you can bring in. This is what we need to understand and deliver. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. We are on future of the pharmacist slide.
Again, please remember, a pharmacist is a very critical thing. I began my talk telling that so important it is for us to network together as a team. Each person has to have clearly defined, identified roles and responsibilities. And we should see that we network together and deliver healthcare practices. And to deliver that, ladies and gentlemen, our syllabus have to change. I remember the good old Goodman, Gilman and Statoskar, which I read. I loved Goodman, Gilman because it used to explain things a little more. But for examination, it was Statoskar. But also remember this, we have to make sure ultimately that the patient gets benefit. The technological innovations that we bring in is going to cost less and less as we go along. As more and more people take it up, we are going to bring in the chain of pharmaceutical excellence, and more importantly, a pharmaceutical company and the healthcare institutions are going to be viable and will be able to deliver care as we go along. Can I have the next slide, please? Again, please remember, as I told you in the beginning itself, Indians are living longer. Look at China, what has happened? Because of the one-child policy, their younger population are meager. So we need to have the attack of healthcare delivery models in the future on multiple fronts. We need to have legal clearance. Please understand, earlier, electronic or a video consultation was not legal. Today it is legal thanks to COVID. Electronic prescription is legal today. So with this, we need to innovate. We need to see that syllabi are changed and justifications are brought in and clearances from the various organizations are given, and we are able to make that difference for healthcare of our population. Again, please, next slide. If you see, digital behavioral changes has to be brought in, and we have to accept that digital is the way to go as we move forward, as it clearly gives us data which we can analyze. Paper no longer gives that, and we have to move that way. And of course, acceptance both from the medical fraternity, the organizations, the governmental organizations, and of course, the person who takes the care has to be done. Move on. Again, please remember the core competencies of each company, each organization, as well as the neighborhood pharmacy has to be defined, delineated, and taken care of. Please remember this. We have to go into a model where we can bring in a way to practice. Clarity has to be given across the board. It is not enough if we just tell that I am going to exist as a small island in the whole sphere. We have to bring in a change in the way we practice medicine, change in the way we perceive care delivery, change in the way we analyze our data, and also more importantly, how we take care of that patient who needs that help. So this is very, very important. Can I move on to the next slide, please?
We are on the next point. So ultimately, the challenge of for most companies.
This is the penultimate slide, please. Ultimately, please remember, I'm sure everybody listening to this particular talk is thinking, oh my God, is this possible? Is this something that I can bring to the table? Please remember, every single innovation in this world has come from an idea. Is this something I can do? And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to live your dream. I want you to bring that innovation, bring that this thing. When I envisaged the Manipal Cure and Care as a preventive health, wellness, and a beauty concept clinic, Bhagavan sir, me, and a lot of us put in our effort. Our endeavor was to see that the health of the population is very important. And there is no other satisfaction that you get. That is when you see a person becoming better and perhaps preventing a catastrophic event. With this, can I have the next slide, please? Thank you very much for your patient hearing. I know I have done a lot of disruption to this audience. Please forgive me if I have given a lot to chew on. I am ready to be ripped apart with questions if you feel that I have not clarified any point. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful presentation and giving so much of valuable inputs about the future of pharmacy and the current scenario in pharmaceutical sciences. Thank you so much. The audience now will have some questions. Just in case you want to ask some question to Dr. Satish Amarnath directly, please raise your virtual hand on Zoom and I'll unmute you, and then you can ask the question directly to him. Or else, if you can put in the chat box, I'll read the question for you, and then we can proceed further. Thank you so much. So looking forward to have your questions. Yes. Lukmanji, yeah, please go on. You can ask the question.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sir, my question is like, sir, you are focusing on that networking thing, sir. A lot of things are coming now online. Even pharmacy, every pharmacy is working on online. So are they not creating any problems in patients' health? That patients are taking medications without consulting a doctor. That is a kind of self-medication. Isn't it going to increase the comorbidities in health system and health communities? And it is also disrespecting the doctors, I think. That's
Okay.
what I am feeling, sir.
Wonderful question. I thank you very much for asking. Extremely pertinent. Again, please just clarify to me, isn't over-the-counter purchase of medications even today possible without digital technology? Number one. Number two, I hope I'm correct in saying that I can take a prescription to pharmacy A, buy the medication, take the same prescription to pharmacy B, buy the medication again. I'm talking even of psychiatric medications. This is possible. The reason is we do not have a data set which identifies Satish, this particular number, he's gone to this pharmacy which is operated by Manoj, and now he's gone to Lokmanya, and again he will not get that medication. This is what should be ideally done. That is what I told. We need to rethink the way we deliver care. We need to digitally link up, number one, the patient, the pharmacy, the healthcare institution, the doctor, and the laboratory. And you can see what happens. If the laboratory value is not conducive, you have not come for a test, do not see that the medication is given to him. Again, there should be a lot of changes there. Insurance should be the nodal point which gives medications. If you see the US model, you don't go and purchase your medications. Your medications are sent home after you do X, Y, and Z. So that is the model we have to deliver. It is not simple. Please understand, if we look at online pharmacies today, is what they are doing is entirely different from what I am proposing. We need to have a chain of events digitally which triggers a particular prescription, and that prescription gets fulfilled. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, sir, correct, sir. I have one more question, sir. Can I ask, sir? One more question is there.
Please do.
Yes, sir. Sir, you are discussing about the future of pharmacy. Sir, pharmacist, how pharmacist can change the future, sir. But sir, there is a one competition, that is a online pharmacy is the biggest competition nowadays for a pharmacist student even. Sir, how they can tolerate this competition in future, sir?
Okay. The competition in the future is very clear. As I mentioned in the slides itself, disruption is occurring. If we do not change today, move into a model which is sustainable, let me assure you, lot of healthcare institution will face problems in delivery of care. We have to plan it together. Forward-thinking people like you and Manoj, me, Bhagavan sir, and institutions, medical institutions should sit together, put it on the table. These are the problems, and come to an ideal solution. Only then can the whole thing work. Otherwise, what will happen is something will disrupt. As you rightly told, online pharmacies today are disrupting pharmacy practice. And if they succeed, tomorrow the model that we currently have will fall apart and healthcare delivery may go the wrong way, which is something that we need to prevent. Yeah, there are no easy answers, please, and no, there are no easy solutions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I got it. I got it, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for answering that, and thank you, Lukman, for asking that question. This is a major concern for most of the retail pharmacies in India right now, sir. And specifically since I'm connected to so many retailers in Bangalore here, the most common question they ask is, these retail pharmacies are giving, these online pharmacies are giving so much of discounts, and they're fulfilling all across India. How do we manage to change the business model, and what do we do to increase our businesses? So any suggestions and thoughts on that, sir?
Sir, as I rightfully told, put up a kiosk. Online pharmacies are doing up to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Online pharmacies today have also tied up with institutions which offer home care testing. All that you need to imbibe, because I'm sure you will agree with me. Years of you being in a particular location, you have built that trust. Capitalize on that trust. Talk to institutions, put up a kiosk where testing and basic, testing like blood pressure, maybe depending on what are the type of cases you're getting, other electronic devices like a stethoscope, camera to see the throat and so on. If you do that, let me tell you, online pharmacies will not succeed. You will succeed, because that is the model that has worked for ages. We have to accept change. We have to change. And let me also tell you this. Discount is something that will work only up to a certain extent. After that, they look for value for service. And you need to talk about what you have done. Let us say tomorrow you have made a difference to a particular person. Let us say who had dyslipidemia, he had cardiac events which was identified in your pharmacy, and you could transfer him to a hospital, get your angioplasty done and save the person. Please talk about it. I'm not telling this is cheap publicity. This is actual publicity, because you are a healthcare provider and you saving that person's life makes a huge difference. And I'm sure the recent memory of somebody having a cardiac problem and dying on the way to a hospital, I'm sure all of you will agree with us. We need to bring in diagnostic and treatment algorithms which are robust, networked, and able to take care of even the risk that we would face when we do this. There
Absolutely,
are no easy answers again.
Absolutely, sir. Totally agree with you. All we need is a hyper-local model wherein we are able to regain the trust of the local people onto the retail pharmacies. Bhagavan sir, you are on mute. If you want, kindly unmute and talk, sir. Bhagavan sir, you are on mute. Bhagavan sir, you are on mute. Please unmute. Please unmute. Just click on the unmute button. Click on the microphone, sir. Click on the microphone button. It should be able to unmute. You should be able to unmute. We are not able to hear Bhagavan, sir, but we'll continue this talk, sir. So one of the best options that you suggested is to build the trust amongst the patients, which the retail pharmacist already has, by providing extra services and not worry about the discounts.
Absolutely, sir.
Bhagavan, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are back, sir. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Now, it was an excellent, coverage by Dr. Satish Amarnath, particularly the last, when he came to the pharmaceutical aspect and the pharmacist deliverables. Now, I strongly feel pharmacist has to understand the importance of the deliverables in the healthcare program. Merely drug delivery is not the end of the pharmacist. So he should diversify. For this diversification, pharmacy education syllabus should be changed. There should be a lot of diversification. As per the new government education policy, there should be a scope for studying the other areas if the student wants. Just as a BSc student can study the economics and history, like that the pharmacy education, they should be able to study the other areas, medication management, or the operation of the biomedical equipment, or the marketing, something like that. There should be a lot of variations in the study group itself as a choice. Let the student choose what he wants. Perhaps it would be a short-term course along with the B.Pharm, like a 3 months or 6 months course. With that, they will be able to diversify their scope also. Merely short might be myopic that we are pharmacists to deliver the drug should not be the end of it. And it's going to kill the pharmacy. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, sir. Well said, sir. Absolutely. I think we lost.
Thank you.
Satish, sir, is not seen here. I think we lost the internet connection. Just a moment. I am just calling him. So, Bhagavan, sir, meantime, you may continue speaking on how we can improve for something for the retail pharmacists and what they can do to take care of this business to the next level. Ashwini, just give me one moment and then Satish sir will join back. Give me just 1 minute. Bhagavan sir, meantime, you may continue talking about what retail pharmacy people can do to improve their business in event of this online pharmacies.
Yeah. No, they need a training. When this comes to the continuous education program, in that training, instead of giving a lecture like a class in the pharmacy classroom, they should be oriented towards deliverables, what facility and what service they could deliver to the patient or to the public, and provides a scope to branch out streams in pharmacy education as per the new education policy. Subjects like biotechnology, physiotherapy, first aid, nursing care, community pharmacy care, then marketing, management, regulatory affairs, medical writing, biotechnology, medication management, etc. could be offered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we lost Satish Amarnath, sir, due to the internet connectivity. He's trying to join back. Meantime, Ashwini, please unmute and then you can ask the question. If you want, you can also switch on your video. Bhagavan sir and myself, both of us will try to answer.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Correlating prescription with the lab report is another area which the pharmacist should learn.
Yeah. Ashwini, if you want, you can ask the question. You have raised your voice.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Ashwini, we can hear you.
So actually, it's concern. I just observed here. Satish sir has told many pharmacy. But my concern before that, I observed many students are giving license to the other people. So who will just the business for money, not to educate society or giving some knowledge to the people.
Absolutely.
So for this, I heard some innovations are going on this, but any notification.
Ashwini, sorry, I'm not able to hear your voice. Looks like some issue with the internet. You're talking about renting of certificate, right?
Yes. It's. Can you hear me, sir?
You're talking about renting of certificates, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is your question?
Yeah, this is the thing. So what we can do for this, because many students are giving license to some people like who can just do like business just for the sake of money, not to do something for the society, like what we are doing, what our ethics the pharmacist has to do,
Okay.
especially for the retail pharmacies.
Thank you, Ashwini, for asking that question. So, Bhagavan sir, Ashwini's question is, a lot of pharmacy students are renting out their certificates. So, what is it they should do? What can we do about it?
I know. The pharmacy professional.
Bhagavan sir, you are on mute.
Hello.
Yes, sir,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, sir. Yeah.
Okay. The pharmacy professionals have become cannibals. They eat one another. So, unless the quality of education and professionalism input is put in the pharmacist in the education level, they will not come out as a professional. They will come out as a diploma or a degree holder and do whatever they want. Because basically they don't know they have not been molded as a professional. This is the biggest difficulty we are having.
And again, sir,
The academy has.
The person also needs to be humane, sir. Many of us are only looking at qualification. They should be, as I told, patient-centric and able to pitch in and deliver care suited to that individual.
Yes, sir. So, Satish sir,
Actually, I agree with all those things.
Ashwini's question was, a lot of pharmacists, lot of students who come after the graduation or masters, they work somewhere else, but they rent out their certificates to make some money by giving their certificate as a qualified person in some pharmacies. So what is it that we as a community can do to combat that?
Sir, awareness is one thing, as I rightfully told. We have to make people aware that this is important for the person to practice. You can't buy medications from any person who's a Tom, Dick and Harry just because he shows a certificate. And regulatory, these things have to be so good that if they find a person has loaned his certificate, that certificate should be revoked and told that he can, bring in your pharmacy association into the play and see that the person license to practice is taken care of. I think that would be most appropriate.
Absolutely, sir. I totally agree with you, sir.
Correct.
Ashwini, we hope that answers your question. Yeah. Thank you. So that was one wonderful session, sir, we had today. And I, thank both of you, Dr. Satish Amarnath and Bhagavan, sir, for being with me today. And this journey will continue, until I'm here every Saturday at 2 p.m. We'll have some sessions to highlight the, learning objectives for pharmacy professionals. We'll have some industry professionals. We have some experts every Saturday at 2 p.m. to discuss some topics so that we can create some level of awareness. Awareness, according to me, is the main issue that we are facing today. And once we have little awareness and knowledge, I think most of the things can be improved on. So thank you so much, sir, for being with us. And thank you so much, audience, for listening to us. I'm sure this session was, important and thoughtful, and it will definitely provoke some kind of thoughts in your mind to do good and do better. Thank you so much, sir. And Satish, sir, any final thoughts, any final concluding points for our audience?
I'm sorry I put a lot of disruptive thoughts in your mind, but I thought this is important. This is the way the world is going to go. I've given you a glimpse of what is expected to come across and how technology will be interfering into the way we practice medicine and perhaps make a world a better place to live in. And thank you very much for this opportunity. It's been wonderful interacting with you.
Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure is mine, sir. Bhagavan, sir, any final thoughts, any final notes?
Well, no, what I feel is the stereotype of pharmacy that has been education that is coming out since 70 years is not going to help, because the technology is advanced, world is advanced, people are aware, even ordinary man can know can search on the Google. So lot of information is available on the net. Now what the pharmacist, unless he diversifies, keeping in view the deliverables, now the community's interest is what he gives, what he serves. That is more important than his degree or his whatever backup he has. Unless his deliverables are valued by the community, he will not be recognized.
Correct.
Absolutely, sir. Totally agree with you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much, Satish sir and Bhagavan sir, for being with me today. We'll definitely meet again in another wonderful session to create some more awareness to the community, to the pharmacy community. And we hope that this session would, create some kind of awareness and help our pharmacy professionals to stop renting their certificates and keep, adding value to their retail pharmacies and community pharmacies to create a wonderful profession that we have been all struggling to, showcase to the community. Thank you so much, sir. And I wish both of you have a wonderful day ahead. And I wish all the participants who are there till the end with us, who wish you both a wonderful weekend ahead. And this recording of this entire session would be available. And I'll be sending out an email to everyone who has registered for this today's session, maybe by today 8 o'clock or by tomorrow afternoon. So thank you so much, and stay tuned for the next update, and we'll have another learning session next Saturday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bhagavan sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, all the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Grateful
so
to you.
Both
Thank
of
you.
your permission,
Bye.
sir, shall I conclude the session? Shall I close the
Yes,
session?
please. Thank you, Manoj. Bye.
Thank you,
you,
Manoj.
sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.